You have most definitely heard about The Matrix, and it's pretty likely that you've come across news of the latest movie in the franchise, The Matrix Resurrections, too. Even people who haven't seen the films are vaguely familiar with what they're about, the nature of reality, and the possibility of virtual worlds. So stay with us for a while as we delve deeper into the implications of some of these concepts in real life. First up, neurotechnological exploitation and interest in brain-computer interfaces. Since the movie franchise came out, interest in the way that brain-computer interfaces function and used to exploit people has risen, but the issue clearly hasn't received enough attention. Even though the scenarios presented in the movies are pretty extreme and disconnected from real life, the technological aspect that deals with the brain-computer interfaces could be perceived as a nod to humans' rights issues that have started to emerge more and more frequently. With all the advancements that we see in the fields of neuroscience and information technology, direct interactions between human brains and computers have progressed farther than have ever been thought possible than like just a few years ago. In light of some developments by companies like Elon Musk's Neuralink, we should all probably be thinking more about the neurotechnical exploitation that is a pretty essential plot component of the Matrix franchise. What is the Matrix about? These movies depict a world where artificially intelligent machines have taken over and captured most humans. They've jailed the humans inside pods to harvest their energy from their bodies. The machines continue to pacify the humans' captives by interfacing with their brains via a plug-in at the back of their heads to a virtual reality world or a simulation in which people have grown to believe that they're living the kind of lives that they lived before they were imprisoned behind AIs. Most of these humans in the Matrix end up passively lying in their pods for their entire lives, providing energy to their captors, completely oblivious to the fact that their experiences are all basically just hallucinations induced by a bunch of algorithms. How trippy is that? In the exploitative world of the Matrix, neurotechnological facilitated virtual reality occupies a sedating role, and it might have just be useful in encouraging discussion on the ethical considerations of today's technological advancements. So how are the movies and technological development related? So we've already had the technology that allows the formation of a close connection between human brains and machines, or even the internet. Whether it's a brain-computer interface technology that lets paralyzed individuals control their wheelchairs or move freely, or whether it's just composing emails, people don't really need to rely on their muscular system to accomplish a lot of these tasks anymore. Thoughts have become capable of controlling real or virtual objects without any need for physical function. Additionally, technology also has the ability to directly influence the brain. For example, an implanted device can easily stimulate an epileptic individual's brain to prevent an epileptic seizure. Other than this medical benefit, progress towards treating mental health issues through neurotechnological devices as well is also underway. So how do these developments help you, you're probably asking? If neurotechnologies can actually help successfully and become widely used in medical and non-medical contexts, these organizations will carry the power to read from our brains and directly stimulate them without the need for any physical activity. What does the Matrix warn us about in terms of these technological developments? After being exposed to the unreal world of the Matrix, research that deals with inducing hallucinations in mice has evoked concerns about the possibility of manipulation. Scientists have come up with novel ways of influencing behavior of mice, and that appears to cause them to hallucinate. Tripping mice. Who would have thought? The researchers take note of the neural activity of these mice as they see a stimulus connected with the food. They observe that the stimulus causes the little rodents to behave a certain way. For example, they start licking. Later, it causes a stimulation of their brains through the recorded pattern of neural activity. Even when the latter part is taking place, the mice don't take note of the visual stimulus, but they continue to lick upon direct brain stimulation, almost like they're being played like pianos. The licking that results from the neuronal stimulation is the same as the lickings from when the rodents see the visual stimulus. Almost like an animal can't differentiate between the real stimulus and the one that's been implanted in it. Researchers came to the conclusion that they had triggered the hallucination of seeing the food stimulus through the activation of its internal representation in the brain. Professor Raphael of Columbia University said, "What is possible in animals today might be possible in humans tomorrow." He also added that even though this kind of research could lead to treatments for previously incurable medical conditions like schizophrenia, it's hardly surprising that many people are expressing ethical concerns regarding the use of this neurotechnology. What happens if neurotechnologies start becoming widely used? If neurotechnologies were to become widely used in medical and non-medical contexts, these organizations would end up gaining the ability to pick our thoughts right off our brains and directly stimulate them. Some of them might take it a step further and decide to use their power to influence the behavior of those who have brain implants. Still, others might decide to use non-invasive technology to make this happen, even in cases where companies' motives are benign. That won't be the case for hackers and state actors who gain access to the exact same capabilities. Possible risky scenarios like these have led to the demand for the recognition of neuro rights, which cover the right to mental privacy and mental integrity. A debate is currently underway among ethicists who are trying to figure out what needs to be done. This discussion has spilled over into law reform too. At the end of 2021, Chile actually ended up becoming the first country in history to transform its constitution to address concerns about neuro rights. It's possible that Spain is on the way to doing this pretty soon too. Should we be rebelling against the genes of the Matrix? One of the arguments against rebellion is that we've prospered and grown significantly under their leadership. However, a reason to rebel is that the world is starting to change and our genes are struggling to keep up. The world has changed so much in the past generations that strategies that are based on the past few generations of experience have become outdated. What would rebelling against our genes or the dream world they place us in look like? Let's look at another example. New technologies of human genetic modification. Most people look at the universal elimination of genetic diseases to be acceptable and appropriate. But think about an increase in the intelligence of those people who can at least afford to be unacceptable. Additionally, eliminating diseases can be looked at as most genes and minds together, ganging up on antisocial genes, while paying to increase intelligence. This can be thought of as placing individual minds in charge of their genes, which would essentially invert the master-slave relationship. The second rebellion case is pretty threatening to a ton of people. There are other people who are actually considering genetic modification of a large portion of the population only if these modifications are under the control of a central authority of some sort. We're not entirely sure why they feel like this authority will follow the treasured moral principles in the minds of the individuals. What we do know is that this is a way to preserve the morality of our collective dream world against threats from individual genes and minds as well. Most arguments surrounding this topic focus on how the dream world is affected by each scenario. They rarely focus on the number of happy minds that a scenario can produce, so it's pretty evident that many people want to preserve their dream world from threats of all kinds of sources, including our genes. This is a lot like the AIs in the Matrix threatening to eradicate the Matrix and the rebels fighting them to save the Matrix. Next, the risks of this approach. Technology may just never improve enough. The organization in charge of preserving your frozen brain in liquid nitrogen might fail to accomplish that. Or life might just be so depressing that when you return from the Matrix, you'd much rather just be dead. Many people decide against cryonics because of the low success rate. However, many other people estimate higher chances of success. Very few people, though, who think that it's likely to work have signed up. And when asked about it, few people want to rebel against their genes by engaging in cryonics because of how unnatural, immoral, and selfish it is. The Matrix series shows a dystopian way of life and view of the utilization of neurotechnology in a sci-fi world. But let's keep in mind that it could serve as an important reminder for us to pay close attention to how technology is actually developing. The Chileans appear to have taken the necessary legal precautions to channel and control it. Other countries should start following suit soon. And that's all we got for you guys today. Have you seen the Matrix movies? What do you guys think about rebelling against the genes of the Matrix? Let us know each and every one of your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time. Later.